Have you ever found yourself wondering, what if? What if I'd taken that job, moved to another state, married someone else, gone back to school, started the business? We all have moments where we look back and wonder about the roads we didn't take. But today, I'd like to suggest something that might surprise you. Maybe those unopened doors aren't something to mourn. Maybe they're the reason we can truly live the life we have. Welcome back to Phoenix Fortis. I'm your host, Diane. Every week, we spend a little time together exploring the quiet truths that help us face life's difficult seasons with courage and hope. Today's letter comes from someone who isn't struggling with the future. He's struggling with the past. Let's read it together. Dear Diane, I turned 58 this year. My kids are grown. My career has been good. I've paid the bills, tried to be a decent husband, a decent father, and a decent friend. But lately I've been thinking about all the lives I didn't live. I almost joined the Air Force. I almost moved to Montana. I almost opened a small woodworking shop with a friend. Sometimes I wonder if one of those versions of me would have been happier. I don't regret my family. I don't regret my children. But I do wonder, how do you stop looking over your shoulder at the life that never happened? Signed, Michael. Thank you for your letter, Michael. And I want to point out something you may not have noticed about your own words. You were careful. You said you don't regret your family. You don't regret your children. You weren't writing to me because you're unhappy. You were writing because you're haunted. Those are two very different things, and I think a lot of people listening right now know exactly which one they're carrying. I'd like you to imagine a very long hallway. On either side are thousands of doors. Behind every door is another version of your life. Behind one door, you became a teacher. Behind another, you started a business. Somewhere down the hall, you're living in a cabin beside a mountain lake. Behind another door, you never left your hometown. One door leads to adventure. Another leads to security. Another to wealth. Another to simplicity. Every decision you make opens one door and quietly closes hundreds of others. That's the part we struggle with. Because every closed door feels like a life we'll never know. You named 3 of yours. The Air Force, Montana. A little woodworking shop with a friend. I noticed you didn't say those lives would have been better. You said you wonder if one of those versions of you would have been happier. That's a gentler question than regret, and it deserves a gentler answer. Here's something I've learned. No one gets every life, not one of us. Every yes is also 100 quiet no's. When you chose your spouse, you also chose every person you would never marry. When you accepted your career, you quietly said goodbye to dozens of others. When you decided where to live, you let go of every place you didn't choose. That's not failure, that's life. Now, before someone misunderstands me, I am not telling you to stop wondering. Wondering is not ingratitude. You can love your life completely and still feel a quiet ache for the ones you set down. That ache isn't a betrayal of your wife or your children. It's just proof that you were capable of more than one life and only got to live one. Everyone does. We say everything happens for a reason. I understand why people say it, but I don't think that's quite right. It isn't that every road was meant for you. It's that only one road can actually be walked, and the walking is what turns it into a life. And there comes a point in every life where we have to stop asking, what if, and begin asking, what now? Not because the past doesn't matter, but because it no longer needs us. The future does. Michael, you asked how to stop looking over your shoulder. I'd start by being honest about which doors are actually closed. At 58, the Air Force one is. That one you can grieve and set down. But Montana is still there. It has roads and a sky, and it does not check your age at the border. And a woodworking shop? That may not be a storefront anymore. But a bench in a garage, and a Saturday, and one thing made with your own hands? That door isn't closed at all. You just stopped trying it. Some of what you're mourning isn't gone. It's just smaller than you imagined it, and still entirely available. You don't honor the life you didn't choose by regretting it forever. You honor it by making this life worth choosing. Tonight, instead of wondering about the life you might have lived, look around the one you're living. Who's sitting at your table? What dreams are still within reach? What kindness can you offer tomorrow? What unfinished chapter is waiting for you? Those are the questions that change a life. If today's letter sounded familiar, you're not alone. Every person you admire has wondered about the road not taken. But peace doesn't come from finding the perfect path. It comes from walking your path with purpose. Wherever you are today, whatever chapter you're in, fill it with laughter, fill it with forgiveness, fill it with courage. Thank you for joining me today. If this conversation reminded you of someone who's been wondering about the road not taken, consider sharing this episode with them. One day you'll look back and realize it was never the unopened doors that defined your life. It was what you built after you walked through the one you chose. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and as always, keep rising,